Section 11.4 shows us how to use the Pythagorean theorem with right triangles. Let's draw a right triangle to remind ourselves what one looks like. So, a right triangle means that we have a triangle that has a 90-degree angle. That little symbol right there means 90 degrees. In a right triangle, we have two legs, and they're named A and B. It doesn't matter where you put A or where you put B, just matters that they are the legs of the triangle. And then we have the longest side, which is always across from the 90-degree angle, and that side is labeled C. C is the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is the side of the triangle that is across from the 90-degree angle. So, a right angle is a 90-degree angle. The hypotenuse of a right triangle is always across from the right angle. The hypotenuse is always the longest side. Oh, I realized that I spelled hypotenuse wrong up there. Let's fix that really quick. No, it's not letting me erase. All right. We'll just scratch it out and we'll spell it right. So hypotenuse. There we go. With an E. Okay. So, Pythagorean theorem. C is the length of the hypotenuse. And B represents, A and B represents the length of the legs. So, Pythagorean theorem is C squared equals A squared plus B squared. So, let's say I have a triangle, and I know that the length of one of the legs is 3, and I know that the length of the other leg is 4. And we want to find the length of the hypotenuse. We don't know it, so we'll just call it C. So I'm going to use the equation C squared equals A squared plus B squared to help me. I'll plug a 3 in for A and a 4 in for B. Again, it doesn't matter what you plug in for A or B. If I would have plugged a 4 in for A and a 3 in for B, then we are going to end up with the same answer. So then C squared equals 9 plus 16. 9 plus 16 is 25. So if I take the square root to solve for C, C equals 5. We don't want to say that C equals plus or minus 5 because the hypotenuse is a length and we can't have -5 length of a triangle. So we just use the positive answer, C equals 5. For the next problem, stop the video and try it on your own, and then restart the video to check your answer. Hopefully we got the answer, C equals 13. So check your work, and if you made a mistake, try to find it. But C equals 13 is the final answer. Let's take a look at the next problem. A right triangle has one leg that is 2 inches longer than the other leg. The length of the hypotenuse is the square root of 10 inches. Find the lengths of the other two legs of the triangle. So let's first draw a picture so we can see what's going on. So we have a right triangle. We know this is our 90-degree angle. And it didn't tell us the lengths of the legs, but it did tell us that the length of the hypotenuse is the square root of 10. But it did tell us that one leg is 2 inches longer than the other leg. But we don't know the length of the other leg, so we're just going to call him X. And if one leg is 2 inches longer than the other leg, we need to call this leg X plus 2. So now we can still use our Pythagorean theorem to help us solve. So we have c squared equals a squared plus b squared. I'm going to plug the square root of 10 in for c. And then for a, I'm going to plug in x plus 2, but I'm going to use parentheses and square them. And then I am going to plug in x in for b. All right, so the square root of 10 squared is a regular 10. How do you square x plus 2 quantity squared? If you said write it twice and FOIL, then that is correct. And then we still have this additional x squared in the back. So we have 10 equals, let's FOIL this out, x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4 plus x squared. So that'll give us 10 equals 2x squared, because there's 2 of them, plus 4x plus 4. So now, do we know how to solve a problem that looks like this? If you said set everything equal to 0, you're right. So we're going to subtract 10. So we have 2x squared plus 4x minus 6 equals 0. So for this problem, you might notice that everybody is divisible by 2. So let's divide everybody by 2 so we can make this problem a little bit easier. So after we divide everybody by 2, we get x squared plus 2x minus 3, equals 0. So now it's time to factor. So what are two numbers that add to 2 and multiply to a negative 3? If you said a positive 3 and a negative 1, you are right. So we have x minus 3. Oh, no, I'm sorry. X plus 3 and x minus 1 equals 0. We need to take each piece, set them equal to 0, and solve. So we get x equals negative 3 and x equals 1. Do you think that both of these answers are correct? If you said no, one is extraneous, you are right. X equals negative 3 is extraneous. And x equals 1 is our final answer. The reason for that is if we scroll back up to look at our triangle, if I would have plugged a negative 3 in for any of these legs, we would get a negative answer, and that wouldn't make sense. We cannot have a negative leg of a triangle. But if I could plug in the answer 1, that would both make sense. So we still need to answer the final question. Find the lengths of the two legs of the triangle. So we know that one leg, we can call him A, equals 1, and B will equal 3, 1 plus 2.